Hey guys, Sergeant No Rep here. It is the final day of the CrossFit Games. I'm just getting the stream up for individual event number 9, which will be a swim event, as you can see from the camera here. I look forward to seeing you back here in about 22 minutes. Get some notes ready and stuff like that. I'll be back here in about probably another 15 to 20 minutes right before the event. I will have some commentary going and the stream will just be up.
I don't know if you want to start with something like that. But you feel like you probably stop playing there. There's just a lot of pools there.
We have not been getting those that it's qualified individual pro. So,
So you're a photographer.
yeah, let me know.
So 4 years ago, I did the biggest mistake. It's not working. I like freaking ran my ass off. So what I did, I made less, but I was relaxed. Like this year, I had spring out. Thank God that they had great, stuff making it fun. I had like a company in Europe called Northern Share. They're like the one friend. Which really upgrade the friend. But they hooked me up. If you want to give us
Okay, guys and gals, we're about to start here for individual event number 9, which obviously is at the lake. It's going to be a swim and a paddleboard event. Here's a nice view of the lake that's filled with duck poop and other stuff that has got athletes sick over the years. So it's going to be fun swimming in it today. Enjoy. So this event, like I said, it's a swim and a paddle event. It's a 1,000 meter swim. You return back to the shore, you pick up your paddleboard, then it's a 1,000 meter paddle. So the athletes are going to go out, you see the buoys there, they're going to go around those buoys and back into the shore. So this will begin on the shore of Lake Monona, and they'll swim out to the buoys, back in, there's medical staff, and I guess you would say lifeguards along the way in case the athletes get in trouble. Obviously, they would be disqualified if they need help from one of these people. But this swim shouldn't be any problem for these athletes. They've been training every year, knowing that there's a swim event. Usually, there's a swim event on the very first day of the CrossFit Games. Castro, I guess, kind of wanted to move the swim until later. So basically, if it was the very first event, you wouldn't have basically swim specialists that would kind of get through that first cut. So here are the men's standings right now. As you can see, Matt Fraser's 15 points out of first place. He's put on a little bit of a charge of late, winning the last 2 events. Carl Gunson and Scott Panchik are in a tight race for third. With Newberry up behind, but I think the race really is for Gunson and Panchik as long as there's no mess-ups along the way. Tia Claire Toomey, as you can see, is kind of pulled away from the rest of the field. With Kristen Holta, Jamie Green, Carrie Pierce, and maybe you could say Katrin Zabesdottir fighting for those other podium spots. So there's a description of Event 8 down at the bottom there. That's Team Event 8.
And in first place for the men, Noah Olsen. And finally, in first place for the female athlete, Tia Claire Toomey.
There's Tia Claire Toomey, Owen Olsen, Matt Fraser, and obviously, as you can see, they're all going out in a mass start. Scott Panchik there, Carrie Pearson behind, James Newberry, Captain Davis-daughter. Obviously, it's easier with the females as they got the name on their swimsuits. Farku is the Greece rookie this year. So definitely in this swim, you'll see some of the females pass the males. Some males aren't as good swimmers, so it'll be interesting to watch that.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
So remember, they're swimming 1,000 meters out, and then they're going to grab a paddleboard and paddle for 1,000 meters as well. So these mass starts are always difficult. Kind of wasn't fair for the females who were stuck in behind the males. I guess maybe they're making an assumption that the males might go off a little quicker. But it's tough when you have people kicking you in the head. You want to be out front at the start of the swim just to get away from all the flying arms.
Don't go to stay on tier. Is that I'm on. it is.
So if you're just
That's
joining
definitely
in here now, we'll just go over the 20 individual athletes that you see here. We have Noah Olson, who is currently in first. We have Matt Frazier in second. I'll go for the men first here. Matt Frazier in second. Carl Gibbonson in third. Scott Panchik in fourth. James Newberry in fifth. Jacob Hepner in sixth. Adrian Munweiler in seventh. Matt McLeod eighth. Jackson Panchik in nine. And Will Norad, who is nursing a little bit of a hamstring issue. He is in at number 10. So that is the top 10 males. So remember, we cut yesterday from 20 to 10. Those 10 athletes did 2 events, and then we're doing the rest today. On the female side, we have Tia Claire Toomey, who's 0-2, quite a bit of a lead over Kristen Holte. Jamie Green in third, Carrie Pierce in fourth, Catherine Davis' daughter in fifth, Anna Farku, the Greece national champion, in there at 6, Amanda Barnhart 7, Haley Adams in 8, Helga Daughter in 9, and Bethany Shadbird in 10. So if you're looking at the swim right now, we have Matt McLeod, an Australian, out in first, and we have Tia Claire Toomey for the female. So you can see they actually have a pretty good lead over the rest of the field. We'll see if that holds up through the rest of the swim.
I have 4. I'll have to go. Perfect. Yeah, I'm coming through.
Just if you're wondering what the time cap for this workout is, remember it's a 1,000 meter swim, a 1,000 meter paddle after the swim, and it's a 50-minute time cap. So 50 minutes to complete this workout. And again, we have in the black cap there, number 8, we have Matt McLeod for the men, and right beside him we have Tia Claire Toomey leading for the women. Right now, Matt McLeod sits, I think, was it number 9 overall? Let me check. Matt McLeod sits number 8, overall. So definitely he is not out of it. When you look at the point system, how it's done up right now, first place receives 100 points, and if you come in last place, so 10th in this event, you only get 10 points. So there can be big swings throughout the next 3 events. So you can see the top two athletes here, Matt McLeod and Tia Clear Toomey, are approaching that buoy. At this point, it's important for them to kind of try to get their bearings, look up and see where they're at. They don't want to swing out too wide. That will mean the, here we go, here comes the buoy. That will be the halfway mark, so that will be the 500 meters, and we'll head back towards the shore there.
We're going to turn to the left.
And if you have to swing out wide, Katie, that's totally fine. Yeah, if we could turn around and...
Yeah, if you always keep them on the left side of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you sort of get on the other side of it, exactly how we were. Like, keep
Okay, slow it down so you can get this turn. That's the rib.
yeah, stay here, go on at the moment.
So we're currently 9 minutes in to this possibly 15-minute workout. But basically, if it took 9 minutes to get out to the buoy, assuming it'll take 9 minutes to come back, there's right around 20 minutes. And obviously the paddle boards will go quicker than the swim. So I think none of these athletes are in danger of not hitting this cap.
Stand here.
So currently we have Noah Olson in second place for the men. So it's Matt McLeod, then Noah Olson in this swim. And of course we know Noah Olson is fighting off Matt Fraser. Noah Olson sits in first, 15 points ahead of Matt Fraser. So every little spot will make a big difference here. As each standing you drop 10 points. So first place gets 100, second place would be 90, 80, all the way down to 10 for the 10th place.
Okay, we can catch the leaders.
So it'll be interesting to see if kind of the norm holds up. Usually the Australians perform well at these swims, so as you can see, Tia players out there, Matt McLeod as well. In years past, you've seen Con Porter do very well. I think it was Dean Lyndon Layton the other year too that's won this. Just growing up being around water all the time makes them comfortable. More so if it was like back in California when they were in the open water on the ocean. That can be very intimidating for people that aren't comfortable with that. You can see Tia just popped her head up pretty high there. It's kind of hard when you're at the level of the water, even with a little bit of the waves, to find your markings on shore. So sometimes you have to kind of sit up a little higher in the water just to make sure you're heading the right direction. Sorry for a little bit of the shaky camera work there. The cameramen are following on a boat, so it's not always the best shots. These ones are from the shore, obviously. You can see safety first. We have lifeguards out there watching the swimmers, making sure nobody gets in trouble. Because as you can expect, after 3 days of competition, it wouldn't be too much for these athletes to cramp up. We don't want anything bad to happen here.
Again, just a reminder, we got Tia Clear Toomey in first for our female athletes.
So we're currently 12 minutes into this 50-minute time cap workout. It looks like what we have for the top three for the men. We have Matt McLeod, Noah Olson, and James Newberry from the looks of it. Right now, Tia Claire is obviously leading for the female. And I'm not 100% sure on who's second, but I think Minna Barnhart's right up there as well.
That was good.
As our athletes approach the end of their swim, we're starting to see
So definitely all these athletes have been working on their swims throughout the year. Some are maybe a little more natural than others. And definitely with the paddleboard has shown up in other years at the CrossFit Games. So if you were truly training for the games, you should have been out on a paddleboard, you should have been out swimming. And I'm sure all these athletes have prepared for that. Because the paddleboard can be a little awkward. You'll see the people that are a little more comfortable can get up on their knees and generate a more powerful stroke. The ones that are not as comfortable tend to lay on their stomach and just kind of use their arms, and you don't really get as much of a full body stroke with that.
starting to feel the pressure as Fraser chasing him down. Meanwhile, Minna Barnhart in second place for our female athletes. You see Tia Claire Toomey, Matt McLeod, approaching the end of the
So that is Noah Olson there with, I think, the number 7 on his cap. He's still currently in second place. You can see there's a wide gap between him and Matt McLeod. Matt McLeod and Tia Claire Toomey are out front leading the race here. And Noah's in second, and then there'll be a pack behind Noah chasing him down. So at this point, you would kind of think this is for Tia and Matt McLeod to lose, as long as they're proficient on the paddleboard. It looks like they've built up enough lead that they should be okay. We're coming up to 15 minutes into the race, 15 of 50 minutes. So as long as these athletes finish around the 20 to 25 minute mark, they shouldn't be at any fear of not getting to the time cap.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a little under 100 meters away from that ramp. So we make some noise, encourage them to pick up the pace as the Tia Claire Toomey, Matt McLeod inching closer and closer to the end of that 1,000-meter swim.
So the top two athletes, being Tia Claire and Matt McLeod, are roughly about 100 meters now to the finish line. So we'll see how smoothly they can transition to picking up their paddleboard and getting back into the water. So Matt McLeod and Tia Claire now are just about to step up onto that ramp. They'll go up on shore, grab their paddleboard, and back into the water they will go, out to the ramp. There's Dave Castro in the white shirt off to the side, and the crowd cheers for Toomey as she gets out of the water first, followed by Matt McLeod. You can see there's helpers there with the paddle boards. And now they're off to the water again. You can see how the paddle boards are built. It's actually set up to, has the grooves to put your knees into it. You'll see there's Toomey now getting up onto her knees. And this is the stroke you'd want. You see Matt McLeod on his stomach. We'll see if he stays like that. But sometimes that can be a little harder. You can see the different motion as Toomey's able to put a little bit more of her full body into it. Matt McLeod is just using his arms there.
didn't know he was on me.
There's one of those pesky ducks. So now it looks like we'll have Noah Olson probably get out of the water next, and he'll be followed by a pack of athletes behind him. It looks like maybe this is a female that's going to get out first here. Amanda Barnhart is the next female out of the water. Looks like she has her left foot taped up there. I don't know if she has an ankle sprain. Nothing's been released about that. So this should number 7. You can see in the front of the screen there. That's Noah Olson. He's followed by a female. Then there's 2 males in behind him there. There's James Newberry. And that's Goodmanson. Surprised you haven't seen Matt Fraser yet. So these are going to be 2 females. You can see Matt McLeod took over Tia Claire Toomey, which doesn't mean anything, as they're both going to get their 100 points if they win this event. It doesn't matter who finishes first among those 2. But I'm sure it'd be some bragging rights. Tia would probably like to beat Matt McLeod. That was Jamie Green there. Who do we have here? We have a Saxon handshake, and here comes Matt Fraser now. So Matt Fraser a little behind. So Matt Fraser's going to have a lot of work to do on the paddleboard. There's a good 5 athletes or so ahead of him that he's going to have to try to catch up to. Remember, he was trailing Noah Olson by 15 points. So we're at 20 minutes of the 50-minute time cap, with most of these athletes now on the paddleboard, so none of them would worry about being time capped. You can see Matt McLeod's ahead of Tia Claire Toomey, but yeah, again, it doesn't matter. Out of these 2 who finishes first, they both get their 100 points, and then it goes all the way down to 10 points for last place. There's Kristen Holte coming out of the water now, so she's quite a bit behind. So when you think about it, Tia Claire looks like she's going to lock up first place and get her 100 points. Kristen Holte, who just came out of the water and is grabbing her paddleboard now, currently sits in 2nd place. So a lot of these other female athletes, especially like Amanda Barnhart, who's in 2nd, looks like she could secure maybe the 90 points for 2nd. That'd be big for moving Amanda Barnhart up the leaderboard. As you can see, we still have some athletes in the water. Looks like we have 2 females in the white caps and 2 males that are still coming in here. There's Katrin Davis-daughter, who was sitting in 5th coming into this event. And it looks like next for the female coming in the water there is Carrie Pierce, who was in 4th place. So there's definitely going to be some shuffling of the overall leaderboard after this, as most of the top athletes for the female are near the bottom of this race. So looks like Jacob Hepner getting out there. That's Scott Panchik there. We see Matt McLeod and Tia there just having a little chat as they're swimming back in. You see Tia's changed up her position. She's no longer up on her knees, using her full body. You see Matt McLeod's actually not even stroking that hard there. These guys have built up a very big lead over the rest of the field. It sounds like Helga Daughter just got out of the water. She currently is in 9th place overall. So this will not help her advance up the leaderboard at all.
Put your hands together for Adrian Rudiger.
As you just heard, Adrian Munweiler just got out of the water. He's currently sits 7th overall. Matt McLeod is in 8th right now, who is your leader of this event. So he'll definitely leapfrog over him. Matt McLeod, by the looks of it right now, will probably leapfrog over Munweiler, Jacob Hepner, who's in 6th, and Newberry, who is in 5th. So Matt McLeod will end up after this somewhere around that 4 or 5 spot, by the looks of it. And just to remember, if you come in last in this event, so let's say Scott Panchik comes in last, he was near the back of the field, he's only going to receive 10 points for placing last in that event. So with him at currently 565 points, he would go up to 575. And somebody like Matt McLeod, who gets his 100, creeps up right behind him, he'd be 561. So it's interesting now, these next 3 events, how placing really does matter. You have to be consistent over the next 3 events. You want to be in the top 4 or the top 3, not to let the competitors below you leapfrog you. Here come Matt McLeod and Tia Claire Toomey. Remember, the time cap is 50 minutes, and both these athletes they won't make it under the halfway mark at 25, but they'll come pretty close. Oh, she's going to race them. That's nice to see, some competition. Now again, that didn't really matter. That was just for show for the fans and everybody. They each will get their 100 points for coming in first in the competition. But it's good to see a little bit of showmanship here, giving the fans something to watch. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can definitely ask them, and I'll try to answer them the best of my abilities. So when the athletes picked up their paddle boards, remember we had Tia Clear coming out first, Amanda Barnhart in second, and on the men's side, we had actually Matt Frazier was quite a bit down. Looks like he came out of the water roughly 6th place. So Noah Olson was in, I think it was 2nd. So there's going to be a widening gap now between Noah Olson and Matt Frazier after this event. We'll see if we can get our spotters to say who these people are here coming in. So you can see this is a good example of the 2 different styles here. This is like I'm half asleep style, but that's Noah Olson right there laying down on the paddleboard. And the person in front of him standing up, I'm pretty sure, was James Newberry, an Australian who is very comfortable with the paddleboard. Just for those listening, William in chat just asked what was my opinion on the format of the games this year. Definitely, I did like the whole concept of bringing the national champions to the games. I liked how that kind of changed the flavor a little bit. The only thing I personally would like to see maybe is that there's some type of threshold. And no disrespect to any of these athletes, but there were some athletes that were in that first event that their ranking within the Worldwide Open was around 60,000 in the world. If you place 60,000 in the world, I really don't feel that the CrossFit Games is a place for you to come. Again, no disrespect. For the athletes maybe that win their country that are that low, maybe they could have a little side competition, kind of like a festival type thing, and maybe it's a one-day thing, 3 events, all the national champions go at it and compete. But maybe if you threw a threshold of you had to be in the top 1,500 in the world, so make it a little bigger if you want to compete with I guess the big boys and the big girls at the CrossFit Games. And then when it comes to the cuts, definitely the cuts have made the games a little more interesting this year. And it'd be a lot to process right now. I would think about it after the games, but I think definitely the only thing that kind of didn't sit that great with me would be the cut from the 20 to the 10 where it was on a sprint event, which is somewhat of a specialty thing. I would have liked personally to see that cut from 20 to 10 at the end of Saturday. So after they did the sprint, after they went into the Coliseum and did the other 2 events, then you cut down to 10 for today. That's the only thing personally I would change. Obviously, I'm not Dave Castro or the CrossFit Games, but that's the only thing that didn't sit that great with me. Here comes Matt Fraser. Matt Fraser comes in 5th. And just to give you some context about how this is working with the point system due to all the cuts. So first place, Matt McLeod will receive 100 points. And Matt Fraser now, who came in 5th place, he will only receive 60 points. So, and Noah Olsen finished ahead of him there. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes up. But the leaderboard now for the next 3 events will definitely be very fluid and moving. There was another question in chat there about the cuts this year. Any surprises you had about some of the athletes? I definitely would say there were some surprises. For myself, I had Sarah Singlisdotter as a podium athlete, and she just she didn't seem right this year, and I don't think it was even a product of the cuts that she didn't get to this final day. She seemed off in a lot of the events. When you look at somebody like Brent Fikowski, and not being a homer, I'm a Canadian as well as Brent Fikowski, but Brent Fikowski, basically he was a product of the cuts being on events that didn't really suit him. So you think about the cut at Mary. Mary was a workout. You look at the people that won it or performed well in it. It was for really short, stocky athletes. So Carrie Pierce destroyed everybody, men included. She's one of the smallest athletes out there. Somebody like Jacob Hepner, Noah Olsen performed very well. But somebody very long, like Brent Fikowski, is not going to do well in that event. And then you look at some of the other events. You had the ruck run. In the start, I think we had 3 different run type events. So that hurt some of the taller athletes, like somebody like Annie Thorsdottir. But I guess my biggest surprise overall was Pat Vellner. Pat Vellner just missing the cut from 20 to 10, and basically that was because he got a penalty on the sprint. So his time was going to be good enough to get him into the semi-final, which would have probably allowed him to make the cut from 20 to 10, but him stepping on the yellow line got him a 10-second penalty, and then he was eliminated from the game. So it's kind of sad to see him go that way. But I guess the one thing that we have to say about this is the CrossFit Games. CrossFit is about the unknown, the unpredictable, and maybe the games became a little too predictable. Maybe there was too many knowns, so Castro mixed it all up this year, and your overall athletes are performing well. So there's still, you look at the women's side. Coming into the games, everybody said Tia-Claire Toomey was going to win it. Well, she currently sits in 1st, and she's widening her lead right now. If you go to the teams, everybody would have said Mayhem Freedom is the most well-rounded team. They should be winning it. They're currently winning it. Then if you look at the men, you would have said Matt Fraser would win the CrossFit Games. Well, he's currently sitting in 2nd, and it's been a tighter race. But he's right there. So the best athletes will perform well under any circumstances. So maybe some of the other athletes' holes were exposed in their game, and that's something they'll have to fix this year.
Across that line, there goes Panche. And Turi.
So just as we'll go to the men's side. We have Matt McLeod, James Newberry, Noah Olson as your top three, followed by Goodmanson, Fraser, Pantic, Hefner, and Scott Panchik. So we still, out on the course there, we have Adrian Mundweiler and Will Morad. And that's Will Morad there. You can look at his left hamstring is all taped up. He had a hamstring pull the other day, so he's struggling a little bit there. And on the female side, we have Tia Claire Toomey winning the event. Haley Adams coming in second, Shadburn in third, Jamie Green in fourth, Amanda Barnhart fifth. So Amanda Barnhart went into the paddle in second. So she definitely dropped quite a bit on the paddle portion of that. The swim, she was fine. Kristen Holta in 6, Carrie Pierce 7, Catherine Davis-Daughter 8, Helga Daughter in 9, and Farku, the national champ from Greece, is still on the course there. Over on the Twitch side of things, I got a question about what was my favorite event so far this year, and what do I think will come of the rest of the competition. For my favorite event, it'd be hard to say. I think I really liked the clean event. I love seeing the athletes lift heavy. I guess my only thing that I would have changed personally with that is I would have had them all have their own individual platform, and then you just go down the line and have them lift. I felt there was a little too much downtime between the cleans, giving the crowd time to kind of simmer down. I would like to see that energy stay high. I forget, was it in 2017 they had the max snatch event, and all the athletes had their own platform, and that's what they did. They worked their way around the Coliseum, and the crowd just stayed in it, cheering the whole time. So I wish I would have saw it like that. I understand why they did the single platform and make it more like a weightlifting event. I get that. What other events did I like? I think I liked the sprint event. I really enjoyed watching that, especially probably on the team side of things. I liked watching the team having to tag off and keep on going. But the only thing I didn't like about the sprint was that it was on that 20 to 10 cut. But overall, I enjoy watching the sprints. It always creates some classic moments. You think back years ago with Dan Bailey doing the hurdle in the sprint, losing his glasses and catching them. That was pretty cool. But so far, I would say the sprint and the clean. And if you want to say one other one, I probably like the very first workout, quote-unquote, the first cut. I think that was a good workout. I really liked that being the first cut workout. It exposed a lot of weaknesses from some of the athletes. People that couldn't do the legless rope climbs and that couldn't kind of redline the whole time with the run. And the weight for the barbell was kind of heavy there as well. So I think that was personally, I think that was a perfect first workout. It was simple, but exposed a lot of people's weaknesses coming into it. So on the course there, we still have Anna Farku, the national champion out of Greece, who's put on a very good showing this year. She surprised a lot of people from getting into the top 10. She currently was sitting 6th overall, but this will definitely hurt her, as coming in last in this event, she'll only get 10 points. So you'll see probably maybe all the athletes. I'm just looking at the scoring here right now. You may see all the athletes except for one or two leapfrog her, and that could always change next event. But yeah. And on the men's side of things, the person that will maybe take the biggest hit will be Scott Panchik. Scott Panchik finished in 8th place in this event. So that will eat away at his lead, definitely giving Carl Gudmundsson a little bit more of a cushion there in 3rd place. And also the cushion between Noah Olson and Matt Fraser will widen a little bit, just whereas Noah Olson finished in 3rd and Matt Fraser in 5th. Merry Christmas. It's nice to see these athletes, like, in the heat of competition, you know, Olsen being chased down by Matt Frazier is over their signs and stuff. That's pretty cool to see.
Oh, wow. That's a little tough. Let me, I put it like on your shoulder or something. Thank you. Yeah. That's better.
That's one good thing about being in CrossFit Times or the CrossFit Games. A lot of the athletes make themselves accessible to the fans, and they get it. Like they know the fans come here to see them, and the fans have to be respectful as well. The athletes are in the middle of this competition. This is their big bread and butter. But it's nice to see all the athletes out there signing and saying hi to fans. So even somebody like Anna Farku, who really struggled in this event, you can see she's still coming well underneath the time cap of 15 minutes. She's going to get in probably under 40 minutes there. So we'll have an interview coming with the leaders coming up here in a second. We'll see if they ask them anything about the sprint to the finish between Tia and Matt McLeod. So there's the mass start. You can watch as the athletes all go in there. You can see all these women behind. A lot of the men are probably getting some feet in the face right now. Not very pleasant.
In 7th place overall, Invictus X. In 6th place, Invictus. Currently in 5th place, Don't Stop. In 4th place, OC3 Black. Your 3rd place team, Central Beasts. Standing in
Okay, we got the interview coming up here in a second.
first place overall, Mayhem Freedom.
2 minutes, athletes, 2 minutes.
Okay, as you can hear in the background, also we have the swim for the...
Both individual
we'll let the interview go up here.
athletes who have won the event here, Tia Claire Toomey and Matt McLeod. Not only were you guys both the winners, but you had a little bit of a foot race there in the end. And I think Tia came in first and beat the boys. Why the sprint in the end? What was going on there?
Well, let's just make sure it's clear. Matt reckons he didn't hear me say at the end, hey, we're sprinting at the end. But I swear I said that, so as soon as we were at the water, boom.
and how did you find the energy? I mean, what was it like coming out of the lake and then hitting the pavement and going for the sprint there?
Well, I mean, obviously we are competitors, but not racing against each other. So we were, when it came to the board lap, we actually helped each other a little bit. He drafted off me for a little bit, I drafted off him, and then we kind of realized how far ahead we were. And then there was just really no point exerting extra energy. So we just kind of, I guess in a way, slowed it down on the way back. So as soon as we got to the land, we had a bit of energy.
And Matt, let me ask you the same thing, sort of getting to the point in the end where you were helping each other out. I mean, what was it like out there up until then? You had the swim and you had the paddle.
Yeah, the swim was pretty hard on the way out, but sort of got into the rhythm, didn't really get any worse, sort of still where we were, and then the board was just keep moving so they don't catch up, really, yeah.
Nice job, you guys. Congratulations on the win here this morning. Great work.
We have 30 seconds to the start of the team event number 8. The same format, the swim and paddleboard. So the teams we have out there today are in order of first to last. We have Mayhem Freedom, CrossFit Krypton, the Central Beast, OC3 Black, Don't Stop, Invictus, as well as Invictus X. And they're off. So if you remember the last time the teams had a swim event, Teza Perez, who's on Mayhem Freedom, had a little bit of issues in the swim. So let's see if she's fixed those. I know if you follow the Mayhem Freedom YouTube channel or Instagram, I think they swim every Thursday. I think Thursday is their swim day. So definitely Rich Froney would have her to her best of her abilities, fix those holes. Obviously, some people are just more natural in the water than others, but I expect her to do a lot better than she did the last event. If you're just wondering, the score differential for the teams, Mayhem Freedom is currently 157 points up on Krypton, followed by Central Beast, who are 198 out of first, and OC3 Black, who are 209 out of third. So basically, with this format now, anybody could win this, but barring Mayhem Freedom really choking on the remaining events, they should come in first place in this. But the race for the other two podium spots are definitely open there for everybody. Krypton, Central Beast, OC3 Black, Don't Stop, the Invictus teams. Depending how they place within these, definitely there could be some big swings on the leaderboard here today. So there's our team standings that I just went over there. So Invictus in X and Invictus at the bottom. Don't Stop in 5th. OC3 Black in 4th. Then we have the Central Beast and Krypton in 3rd and 2nd, and Mayhem Freedom leading the way. Now there was a little bit of controversy if you follow Instagram last night, just with, if you remember, Pat Fellner, Brooke Wells, both got penalties for stepping on the yellow line, and basically that led to them possibly being eliminated from the CrossFit Games. Somebody posted a picture and tagged Froning of him stepping on the yellow line during his event. He responded, Castro responded, and you have to be careful when you're not there to hear the briefing for the events, because we get basically the overview of the events, but we don't see the briefing. So the teams weren't told that they couldn't step on the line at that place. So there was no infraction there. Nobody was trying to cover anything up. The judges didn't miss anything. The teams were allowed to step on the yellow lines. The individual there, they were not allowed. So that's why Velner and Brooke Wells got penalties and Rich Froning did not. So nothing to hide, no controversy, just somebody misspeaking. And just to go over, obviously we have time here while we're waiting for everybody to swim. We'll go over the team rosters if you're just new and you haven't been following the teams as much. So obviously we have CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, led by Rich Froning. The other male on the team is new this year to the team. He has been working out with Mayhem Freedom as like an individual and stepping in and helping out when he could. Dre Strum. The females are Keza Perez, who's been to the games with Mayhem Freedom in the past, and China Cho, who's came over from the individual side of competition to join Mayhem Freedom this year, and has been a great fit with them. So then for CrossFit Krypton, who currently sits in second in the overall standings, they would be one of these, I guess, quote-unquote, super teams. They were Alex Smith, Ben Smith's younger brother, Cody Mooney, who's an individual athlete, Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, who was your 2014 female individual champ, and Jessica Griffith, who also competed at the games in the past as an individual. So then if you go over to the Central Beast, maybe not as many big name people. Nicole, for the females, Nicole Holcomb, name you may recognize, Emma Chapman, Zach Soder, and Joseph Tortoa. He's the one you see all year with the awesome beard. So then we got OC3 Black. I've always said that OC3 Black, just like Mayhem Freedom, is one of these kind of more true teams, not really any of the big superstars. We have Andrea Nestler, Taylor Williamson, Joe Persanti, and Luke Schaefer. Luke Schaefer is a new addition to the team. So then we have, next off we have Don't Stop. Don't Stop is kind of headlined by Travis William,
So that's funny, that's trying to show you.
a games athlete. Roy Gamboa, Alexis Johnson, and Jen Smith, also another game individual athletes, both those females. They are very strong females. And then rounding off the teams here, we have Invictus, another one of your, I guess, super teams. We have Tommy Venus, who's been at the games before, Ramis Anderson, been in the games, Regan Huckleberry, and Lauren Fisher. And then Invictus X, a team that I thought would do better based on even their performance last year, being a podium team led by Sam Dancer. The other male is Holden Rethwell. Then with two former individual female athletes being Margot Alvarez and Christy Aramo. So maybe look for them to make a charge up the leaderboard today, as they currently sit 7th. William was asking, is there any predictions for the final events? What would you like to see? I don't know. I was thinking of that earlier. I would like to see, we had to clean yesterday. I would like to see something else that would be heavy. It doesn't have to be like just a pure weightlifting thing, but maybe something with some overhead walking lunges with some really heavy kettlebells or dumbbells. I'd like to see some more gymnastic type stuff. So maybe some ring muscle ups would be nice to see. But basically, I would like to see the remaining workouts not to be specialized, because you think of last night, so the final event with the clean, that was a very specialized event, because obviously those guys are all very strong. But for you to be able to lift and beat Matt Frazier has a strong background in weightlifting, something that he's specialized in the past, so definitely he's performed well at that. Today, we have something of somewhat of a specialized event as well this morning. Swimming would be classified to me as a specialized event, the paddleboard as well. These athletes know that these are here, but you can obviously see the two winners, and I think wasn't James Newberry second? We're all Australians, and every year it kind of be that. And Australians tend to grow up around the water. They're always in the water, good climate and the beaches that are there. So again, this is a specialized event in my opinion. So I would like to see the next two be quote-unquote true CrossFit workouts. So we've got some gymnastics, some barbells, some box jumps, or what have you thrown in there, but something that is kind of well-rounded and nothing that people would be specialized in. So that would be my opinion. I just want a fair test, and I think it's been a relatively fair test going forward, but with 2 events left, I'm sure there's going to be some good fireworks. I want something that you can really see Matt Frazier kind of put his head down and just grind through. I want something long that these males and females will have to work through and basically suffer. It's always fun to watch suffering, isn't it? But if you want to throw in chat, William, like, what are you thinking? What are you hoping for? Is there any type of event you'd like to see?
not gonna lie to you, that was the one of the most fun I've had.
You said you was done cutting them. They're miles down. He's fucking on me to go.
Yeah, William, I guess that's all anybody really wants is just to be able to see if Noah Olson is crowned champ or Matt Fraser's crowned champ. I guess everybody just wants to feel that it was legit. And going at this point, we have a great race, and I feel like everything has been legit so far. I think the programming has been good. And I said the only little thing that I personally would have changed is that big cut of 50% from 20 to 10 being on a different event. But hey, I'm not Dave Castro. But looking back at the events too, we haven't had anything really with any odd objects. Now the teams that we're watching here in the swim, they had the strongman event where they had the big bob, they had the snail that they had to push, but we haven't really seen the individuals yet with the teams had the cheese curd, like the sandbag, so we haven't seen anything really odd object yet. So maybe we'll see something with a cheese curd come out for the individuals, some sandbags, cleans, maybe some type of strongman competition after that. That'd be kind of neat to see. So just so you know, in about, I guess, another hour and 5 minutes from now, that's when the next event will be announced. So after this is over at noon Central Time, so noon time in Madison, Dave Castro will be in the Coliseum and he'll announce what the next event will be. And that's one thing that's been different with the CrossFit Games this year, and I actually do like a lot, is that the athletes went in completely blind, not knowing anything. Because if you follow these athletes, you know when the workouts are announced, these athletes, the weeks or some of them will be close to a month out maybe, will test these workouts. They'll see if I go out hot, how do I perform? If I go slow and slowly build to a higher speed, how will I perform? I like them just coming in here, giving the workout 2 hours before and say, go do it. And that's what CrossFit is, prepared for the unknown. You think about, like myself, I'm a first responder. A lot of people use CrossFit to train for the military, for first responders, because in a blink of an eye, you don't know what situation you're going to be thrown into and how you have to respond. And that's the idea of CrossFit, is that you're ready to tackle any of these challenges that come at you. So that was kind of a nice change to see, and I like that. That's a good question there, William. Asking, out of Matt and Noah, who do you want to see win? That's a tough one. I like both athletes. I guess my answer would be, for me to feel that the winner is 100% legit, it was a true test of fitness for the CrossFit Games, I would like to see Matt Fraser win. Based on his previous 3 years, or even say 4 years performances, based on his performances in the Open, at sanctional events. Obviously, he's won the CrossFit Games 3 years in a row. He wins the Open. He wins any sanctional he goes to. So looking at all those tests of fitness leading up to this year, Matt Fraser is the most fit individual or male in the world. Now, so that's why I would like to see him win, because then if Noah Olsen won, everybody would start to question the test of fitness. Was it a true test of fitness? Because if you look at all the other measuring sticks leading up to now, Matt Fraser is more fit than Noah Olsen when you use those measuring sticks. So that's the only thing. I just don't want there to be any bit of a cloud or doubt. But definitely I'd be totally happy if Noah Olsen won. He's a great athlete. He's definitely one of the top 5, you'd say maybe top 10 fittest individuals in the world. He always seems at the games, he always has a little bit of a hiccup. And this year he hasn't had one of those. That's why now he's performing so well. But even with those hiccups in years past, he wouldn't have beat Matt Fraser. But yeah, that's my personal opinion. I feel Matt Fraser is the fittest in the world, so I'd like to see him win the CrossFit Games. There's Rich Froning coming out of the water. There's a member of the OC3 Black. That's Tommy Venus there coming out of the water. So if you're wondering how the scoring for this, looks like China Cho getting out of the water there. I think China Cho was actually a collegiate swimmer. But if you're wondering how the scoring for this event works, obviously they're not synchro, they don't have to be tethered at a rope or anything like that. But the team score will be the sum of each member's time. So they'll add all the times together, and then that sum will be how you're ranked on. So obviously you'll be rewarded here if you have more consistent team members. So if you have like Rich Froning in the lead, but the other 3 athletes are in the bottom 3, obviously they're not going to win that event if CrossFit Krypton had all its members right in the middle. So consistency is rewarded here as we're going to tally all the individual times, and that makes your total time.
Well, you committed now, you gotta fucking stay on it.
So that was Dre Strum getting out of the water in the black cap. Obviously the second male from CrossFit Mayhem Freedom. China Cho has already exited the water, so they're just waiting on Taza Perez. As I mentioned at the top of the competition, Taza was kind of their weakest swimmer. She's been working on it, so let's see when she popped out of the water here. And just as I was speaking there, that was CrossFit Krypton's Camille Bon-Bazinet, the 2014 individual champ that was coming out of the water as well. So you can see here on the left of your screen, the male there with no cap on. That'd be Rich Froning. Most of the competitors have caps on. That's how they indicate their team. Mayhem Freedom, they're wearing black caps. So there's Rich Froning. He's obviously taking him off. It looks like there's a female maybe coming up behind him there, maybe China Cho with her black cap on there. So that bodes well for CrossFit Mayhem Freedom to have two of their athletes right near the top. So remember, it's the sum of all your athletes' time, and that's how your placement will come in the event. So I still haven't seen Taza Perez come out of the water. That looks like it's Christy Amaro there, or Amaro. She'd be a member of Invictus X with Sam Banser, Holden Rethwell, and Margaret Alvarez. Speaking of Sam Banser, I didn't see Sam Banser exit the water. We may have just missed him there. So again, on our screen here, we have Rich Froning. You can see he's talking to China Cho. They're the overall leaders coming into this event. And they have about a 157-point lead over CrossFit Krypton. You can definitely see the difference when you're looking at Rich Froning there compared to like Tia Claire or Matt McLeod on the paddleboard. They were just so comfortable. They were naturals on the board. Rich Froning's still doing fine, but you can see he still wobbles a little bit. It doesn't look completely comfortable as well. So you see Rich Froning and China Cho are on their way back. There's still athletes still just starting out. So you can see now actually China Cho has pulled away quite a distance from Rich Froning. Maybe that's what he was saying to her, because you want everybody to get the best time possible, especially if they want to make up a little time for Teza Perez, who's going to be behind. So maybe he told China just to sprint as hard as you can go, just to build some time. Oh, you can still see there are still some competitors on the course swimming. That was, I guess you'd call it a yellow or a green hat, so that wouldn't be Teza Perez. We're looking, she would be having a black swim cap on.
Solid time as she sprints towards the finish.
So there's Invictus X team member, Christy Amaro. Not a bad time. Remember the Tia and Matt McLeod, the individuals. I think they came in right around the 25-minute mark, so she came in at 26 minutes, so a nice time for her. So that looks like it's China with the black cap on. Can't see who she's talking to in the water there. She was looking over to the right of the screen, so I don't know, maybe if our vision is being blocked, I don't know if maybe if Teza Perez was just going out on her paddleboard, but we'll see here in a second. We'll see if these athletes sprint to the finish, because obviously you want your best time possible. Every second will count at the end when you're tallying them up. So they do have to take the board from the water and hand it to the helper there, and then they can run. So that's China Cho going up against OC3 Black member. OC3 Black currently sits in 4th place. And there's Rich Froney. He should be the next athlete to exit the water. The CrossFit Mayhem Freedom now with 2 members across the finish line. So that's the first team to do that, being China Cho and Rich Froning. But again, their good times will have to make up for maybe the slower times of Teza Perez. So you saw Rich Froning came over and talked to China Cho, and I think China was pointing to who she was just talking to, probably being Teza Perez that was just going on the paddleboard, which would put her probably near the back of the pack. But like I said, we don't have any other teams with 2 members in yet, so that's that will help them quite a bit. And Dre Strum wasn't too far behind Rich Froning, so he's probably in that pack that you see at the top of the scene. There's Tommy Venus. So Tommy Venus, I think, will be the first member for Invictus coming out of the water there.
He will take it to the finish.
Actually, that looks like Anderson there. Yeah, so that was Rasmus Anderson, and that's Tommy Venus. So that's the 2 males now for Invictus. So now this is the second team with 2 individuals across the line. So that's Cody Mooney there. So Cody Mooney is part of CrossFit Krypton. And then I don't think far behind was Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet. So those would be the 2 athletes for that team.
He's going to sprint it.
William in chat there asked, do you think that being short is an advantage this year with all the top 10 male athletes being below 5'11"? I guess there'd be a lot to go into that to try to answer that, but I would say overall in CrossFit there's an advantage to being short. You just don't have to go as far for movement. So when you're going to a squat, you don't have to move down as far. When you're going overhead or when you're doing a pull-up, you don't have to pull as far. So definitely like a workout that we had a cut on being Mary. Mary definitely was an advantage for short people. But sprinting, I think sprinting, in which we had some sprinting in, I think a lot of the top sprinters in the world are very tall, so I wouldn't say that's an advantage to short people. But overall, when you look at CrossFitters, the average male CrossFitter tends to be, they'll all lie and say they're 5'9", but it seems like they tend to be 5'8", around 190, 95 pounds, and that is your typical build for a male CrossFitter. Now, mind you, if you go to football or some other thing like that, a lot of other athletes, you'll see them all in the 6 foot. So definitely CrossFit as a sport favors a shorter individual, and definitely one of the cut workouts this year, Mary favors a shorter individual with all those pistols and pull-ups. So that's just kind of my short little answer to that one. Because you kind of think about it, like Brent Bukowski is kind of a standalone about being such a tall, kind of lean athlete. Like you don't see many like that perform very well in CrossFit. And even Vellner, I guess, is a larger individual as well. So while I was rambling on there, we had Dre Strum, Cross for CrossFit Mayhem Freedom. You also had a third for CrossFit Krypton, and Invictus has a third as well. So we have Mayhem Freedom, Krypton, and Invictus with 3 athletes. Invictus X has 2 athletes across. Don't Stop, I think, now just got their third athlete as well. Now all the athletes are starting to come in here, but we don't have anybody yet with 4 across. So I haven't seen the cameras pick up on Teza Perez yet, so remember we're looking for a black swim cap for her. That looks like Travis Williams there from Don't Stop. It looks like he's pretty gassed there. So we have another four athletes coming in. So a lot of teams now will be getting their 4 members all across. So definitely Mayhem is going to drop a little bit here, even though they had 2 athletes finish right there in the top 3 or 4. They're going to be hurt by that one score that's going to be quite a bit lower than everybody else. There's OC3 Black, I think this should be their final member. So there's, I mentioned him earlier, that's Sam Dancer out on the, there's Jessica Griffith hugging Camille LeBlanc-Bazemé and then Cody Mooney. That was Sam Dancer out on the course. a very big individual. Definitely the swim didn't really favor him, but he's giving it his all right here. So obviously, Sam Bancer is a member of Invictus X, and he will be the last one for his team there across. That looks like Regan Huckabee. Regan Huckabee is a member of Invictus. We saw Tommy Venus and Magnus Anderson finish earlier. Now I forget if I did see Lauren Fisher finish. I think she did finish, but Regan Huckabee would be their fourth member finishing as well. Yeah, there's the whole Invictus team. Tommy Venus, Magnus Anderson, Lauren Fisher, and now Regan Huckabee. You can see the toll that it takes on these individuals. Like, this guy here is just like, my day's done. I don't want to do this anymore. We've been waiting for a camera shot of Taza Perez, but we haven't got one yet to see where she's at. Obviously, she's near the pack there. This is different from the individuals, where this is a 60-minute time cap. For the individuals, it was a 50-minute time cap, and then this cuts from 7. Right now, there are 7 athletes, or 7 teams, sorry, and they will cut from 2 after this. So, obviously, coming into this event, we had, was it Invictus and Invictus X that were near the bottom. Invictus X had a really nice showing. It looks like, based on what I'm seeing from the tally of their scores, it looks like right now they're going to take the lead, or they'll take first in this event. OC3 Black and Mayhem Freedom currently sits in third, OC3 Black in second, Invictus Krypton, Don't Stop, and then Central Beast. So who's that? I think that's the member of Central Beast, Tortoa. I think that's Joseph Tortoa of Central Beast. He's just rounding the buoy there. So if you're just joining in now, this is the team competition. We just had the individual men and women. They went off together. Tia Claire Toomey won that for the women. Matt McLeod for the men. And Noah Olson placed higher than Matt Frazier, so he'll widen his lead a little bit more over Matt Frazier. So that's the notables. Now we're in the team competition. After this team competition, the field's going to be cut from 7 to 5. There will be no cuts in the individual. And as we sit right now, it looks like Invictus X is leading the way with OC3 Black in second and Mayhem Freedom in third. And that is not official results yet, but we'll see once the tallies come in. So I think this might be Taza Perez coming in here now. I see the black swim cap. So it's hard to tell based on her performance last year. Like, this swimming was a weakness for her, and she's obviously worked on it. It's hard to compare the two, but nice to see her put a nice sprint in here. And the swimming's done now, and she can get back to lifting heavy now. So you can see Rich Froning went right to her. She's probably a little discouraged. Rich Froning's going to give her a pep talk. Rich Froning, obviously the team captain, the leader of that team, and that's his job. When an athlete comes in and is feeling discouraged, he has to get her mindset ready for the next event, get her on track to go out there and perform well. So obviously, as these times are coming in, everything's jumping around. So we'll just wait till the end to see what the final totals are. That looks like Holden Wethwell. I think yes, it is from Invictus X. So this is going to hurt them a little bit here, because their other athletes actually performed pretty well. The two females performed well. Sam Dancer was kind of in the middle of the pack, but this is going to hurt there. As remember, you tally up all the athlete scores. You can see, like, obviously if this event was done on day one of the competition, the outcome would definitely have been different. These athletes now are fatigued, their shoulders are blown up. It's not really, the swim is a little bit of a leg workout, but this part is mainly just your upper body. You can just see the fatigue on these guys that normally, if they were fresh, they would have killed this workout. So if you want to watch social media, probably in about 35 minutes, Dave Castro will announce the next workouts. So that'll be in about another 35 minutes. So you can see Ducks coming to cheer on Holden Wethrow to get him across the finish line. And I think this is our very last, oh no, there's one other male competitor out there. So there's Sam Dancer, Margot Alvarez, and Christy Ermo cheering on Holden Wethrow. So you heard some. It's nice to hear those candid stuff from individuals. You heard Sam Dancer right there, and he's like, "Put your head up, man." And right after, he's like, "Change your attitude right now." And that's what, obviously everybody, that's a little more harsh than maybe what Rich Froning might say to Tasia Perez. But Sam Dancer definitely is the leader of that team. And I'm sure when Margot Alvarez stepped in with all her experience, she would be a leader as well. But Sam Dancer's role is to get these people back ready to compete for the next event. You can't be moping around going to the next event feeling sorry for yourself. You have to have the mindset of a champion, and that's to drive forward and just keep on going. So that was Sam Dancer just trying to pick up Holden Wethrow for having a bad event. So we got some highlights of the mass start of the team swim competition. There's Invictus X coming out of the water, Rich Froning coming out of the water. That's Rich Froning and China Cho over on the board. This is kind of where China Cho kind of passed Rich Froning. Rich Froning had a very good time himself coming in. So it looks like our overall leaders here are going to be Don't Stop.
Now, we'll still have to wait and see exactly how the scores shake out, because it's cumulative time amongst all of the athletes on the team that will determine the placings in this event. But, Christy, you were the first swimmer out of the water, and so just kind of take me through what it was like in the lake and then coming back in and grabbing the paddleboard and having to go back in.
It was long. So the whole time I just knew like it's very easy to lose it on the swim. So I just kind of tried to pick and go right behind somebody and just kind of try to slow myself down and just breathe and glide. And then I turned the little thing and Rich is in front of me and I was like, what the heck? So then I like started to paddle because I wanted to be first out of the water because I thought the guys would paddle faster. So I was trying to build as much lead into it as I could because I knew cumulative time, every second counts.
That strategy obviously paid off for you. Your time was actually second only to Tia Claire Toomey, who came in first for the individual ladies. It was funny because last year you guys were 1 and 2 out of the water as well in that event. How does your sort of veteran status here and with the swim events and at games helping you out so far?
I think it just helps you stay calm. You just realize like, hey, I want to keep my heart rate down. I want to run my own race and not worry about anybody else. And I think that's what you learn year after year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the standings to be calculated. Based on my rough calculations here, it looks like maybe Don't Stop, number 1, CrossFit Krypton, number 2, and OC3 Black, number 3. Now, obviously, those are not official results, but that's kind of like a rough look we have here. And with maybe the Mayhem Freedom in 5th place. So we'll see once they announce the official standings. Here are the results for the men. So here are overall men's standings after 9 events. You can see Noah Olson now has pulled up to what, 36 points ahead of Matt Fraser. Carl Gudmundsson in 3rd and Scott Panchik still in 4th. And this is the results for event 9 for the females. Tia Claire Toomey obviously winning that event, followed by Haley Adams, Bethany Shadbird, Jamie Green, Amanda Barnhart. So this will definitely cause the leaderboard to shake up a little bit under obviously Tia Claire, who will still be in 1st place. And here we have the leaderboard. Tia Claire in 1st, pulling way ahead of Kristen Holte, Jamie Green, Carrie Pierce. Katrin Davis-Daughter was able to jump up a few spots. Haley Adams moved up the board. Helga Daughter kind of fell a little bit, followed by Anna Farku, who also fell as well. Bethany Shadburn was near to the bottom of the leaderboard, so she moved up a few spots. But yeah, right now we have about, 135 point lead for Tia Claire over Kristen Holte. So it's going to be about another half an hour until Dave Castro announces the next workout. That'll be in the Coliseum. You can probably see that on social media. And the next competition would be 1 o'clock Central Time. So obviously adjust that to where you're at. But that would be, what, an hour and a half now from now, roughly. So you can see we've got the lane set up here. We've got the rig. There's nothing. I don't see any ropes hanging from the ring. Can't see any chin-up bars. I would maybe guess there might be some rope climbs that might be put up there. Oh, I see some rings actually back a little farther there. So it looks like we might have some ring muscle-ups. So yeah, so we have about an hour and a half. So just check back then. I'm going to shut this stream down for just a second just to adjust some things, and then it'll be right back on.